Hey y'all, thank you guys so much for tuning into this week's episode of the Worlds of Country podcast. I'm your host, Andrew. On today's episode, I'm joined by Jordan Rowe to talk all about his musical journey. It was such a great and fun conversation, also very insightful. Hope you guys enjoy this one. Talk to you guys on the other side. Hey Jordan, how are you?
Doing good, man. How about you?
I'm doing good. What have you been up to lately?
We've been playing a bunch of shows and writing some new songs here. I wrote a new one yesterday, and we've got some shows coming up this weekend too. We're excited about. So just chopping away at it, finish out the year.
So when did you sort of know that music was going to be the thing for you?
Man, probably my junior year of college, I would say. I'd always, been in music, growing up in church and things like that. But it wasn't until later in my college career that I decided, that was the path that I thought the Lord had for me. And I decided to fully pursue that instead of going back home and working in the agriculture industry, which is what I thought I was going to do. I was majoring in ag business and ag econ. And so my plan was to go back there and work in that. But, it was always a dream in the back of my mind to go pursue music. I just didn't really know how it was feasible, I guess, how you really did it until I got into college and started playing some shows, meeting some people in Nashville, and kind of, saw the path that I could take to do it.
So was there like one moment that made you sort of jump all in towards music, or was it more of like a gradual progression and seeing that it was something that was possible over time?
Man, I would say a little bit of both. There were definitely some moments that stick out in my mind that, that I really can remember being like, gosh, I would love to do that with my life. One being actually when I was in high school at the Luke Bryan Farm Tour concert. They did one in my hometown, and then it was Sam Hunt, Chris Jansen, and Luke Bryan on the farm tour. And gosh, I remember that kind of being a moment I was, really like, man, I would love to do that. I want to do that the rest of my life. But like I said, at that point, I had no idea how to obtain it. I remember I was so naive back then. It was just hilarious looking back, but I can remember seeing that they were coming to play in Adel with the farm tour. And I Googled like Luke Bryan's tour manager or whatever, and wrote a letter, typed up a letter when I was in high school, like, hey, I live here, can I open? And I sent this long letter. But yeah, that was.
Did they even answer?
No, absolutely not. No, but it was hilarious looking back. But that was one for me. And then I would say, aside from that, it was just, kind of gradual throughout college. I just got to feeling stronger and stronger and stronger about pursuing it.
So once you sort of realized, okay, this is what I want to do with my life, what would you say was that first big step you took towards making it happen, I guess?
The summer of 2018. That was the year before my senior year of college, and I needed an internship. And I knew at that point that I wanted to move to Nashville, or at least I thought I did, and that I wanted to get my feet wet up here and start learning the ropes. And so I reached out to Ray Fulcher, who I still live with now, who's a songwriter and artist up here that I had met down in Georgia. And I was like, hey, man, I've got to do an internship up there. Do you have a couch I can come sleep on this summer? And he's like, yeah, man, absolutely, come on. And so I came up and lived with Ray that summer and just jumped off in the deep end. I was writing all the time, meeting everybody I could, going to everything I could get into, and just dove in to Nashville and everything I could learn about it that summer. And I was interning at River House Artists in the publishing world, but really I was doing more writing than working. I was like taking out the trash and plugging songs in Song Space on Wednesdays. And aside from that, I was just writing the whole time. So it was a fun summer. Then I went back, finished that last year of school, and then moved up in June of 2019.
Ray's got to be like one of the best first connections you could have up there, for sure.
For sure, man, for sure.
Yeah.
And it was just, it was a God thing that we had met in Athens, and he's a big dog fan, as you can tell. Like, these are all
Oh, yeah. I've
Oh,
never seen so much Georgia stuff.
oh yeah, this is all the dog stuff on the wall behind me. But yeah, so we connected over that, and we met at a show at the Georgia Theater, which I just played this past weekend, this past Saturday. So it's always a special place down there. But yeah, that's how we met.
So you always sort of knew that Nashville was eventually where you wanted to end up, right?
Yes, definitely.
So how your early days in Nashville, what were they like?
They were fun, man. They were. I remember just. I wish I could kind of sometimes go back into that mindset because you just had like no idea how the town worked, and it was like every day was just this crazy adventure of who are you going to meet today? Like what room can you get into today? And it was so cool, just like those first, I guess that first year of like experiencing all there is to do in Nashville and seeing all the new places and everything. And I just remember it being really exciting. I remember the first day I was ever in Nashville that summer in 2018 when I was moving up. Ray was writing with Jonathan Singleton, who's super credited writer and producer up here in Nashville. And he was like, "Hey man, I'm not done yet, but you can just come hang out here with us," because he was helping me move in. And he was like, "Just come to Jonathan's place." And so I'm like, this 21, 22-year-old kid, first day in Nashville, going to Jonathan Singleton's studio. And it was just, surreal. And I was just giddy for sure, Googling everything he'd been a part of on the way there.
Would you say that sort of like excitement wears off over time, or do you still sort of feel that little bit sometimes still?
No, I mean, you definitely still get excited, but I mean, as far as like those the first time you meet somebody, it's kind of like in a relationship. That's like the honeymoon phase. You know what I mean? Like you're still excited, but like those first few months you're in town, getting to see everything for the first time. That's what was so cool to me. It's just,
And then everything else hits you.
yeah. But yeah, experiencing all that stuff, just like a total new world than anything I'd ever known. It was super cool those first few months.
So what would you say have been some of the bigger lessons that you've learned since you've sort of embarked on this journey?
Oh man, I've learned to, that there's going to be highs and lows, just like there is in any career, and you just got to keep your head down, keep chopping, keep trusting. Um, I've learned that, that your timing is not God's timing. I've learned that for sure. And you just got to keep trusting His timing and things. And when we think things will happen, they won't. Example, COVID, right? I just, got up, like I said, in 2019. And so I moved up that summer. That fall, I had a cool acoustic tour opportunity I went on. Then wrap around in the spring, we had just did some acoustic openings for Chris Jansen, and like things were starting to rock. I was getting some good shows. And then boom, man, it just all shut down, for like 2 years almost. And we couldn't really play shows. And it was like, whoa, what's going on? So just trusting through that kind of stuff like that is some of the biggest lessons.
So how frustrating was that for you to sort of feel all that momentum stall? And then how were you able to sort of keep going during that time period?
And it was definitely frustrating. I'm not going to lie, as it was for everybody. But, the thing that you had to do in that time was go, okay, well, what can I control? And what I could control for me was songwriting. And so, and so I focused on that, and we wrote a ton of songs during that time. And, some of those songs that we wrote were the ones that I got to put out on that last project I did. And so, there's to say that we wouldn't have gotten those songs, I don't know, but we did get those songs during COVID, and I had a lot of time to work on my craft, and just trying to focus on the positive things and what we can control in times like that.
So when it comes to music, would you say that your first love, was it songwriting or was it performing for you, or do they go hand in hand?
I would say hand in hand for me. I don't really love one more than the other too much, I don't think. I've always loved performing and singing on stage, but then I also, get just almost just as excited when we finish a good song that you get excited about in the room. And, you can't have one without the other. And so I think they kind of go hand in hand for me, kind of put them right there together.
On the flip side of the lessons question, what would you say have been some of the bigger challenges that you've faced since you moved to town?
Well, definitely the COVID thing, for sure. And I would say, man, right now, I would say the biggest challenge is just trying to break through the surface and, like, I guess, rise through the saturation of all the young artists trying right now, with the rise of social media influence, TikTok, and that kind of thing. It's I would say, I mean, on some aspects, it's like easier. People would say there's an argument for that you can get your stuff out there easier, but I would say also, Ray and I were talking about this, that it might be harder than ever for a new artist to break through right now, because there's just so many people, so many kids doing the same thing right now. So that's kind of been the biggest challenge to me is, since I've been here, I think, is adapting, trying to stay true to who I am, also adapting to this social media world and trying to get our songs to rise through and stand out in the crowd, and navigate that.
It is sort of like a double-edged sword because on the one hand, you have this new platform where your career could blow up overnight without you
Mhm.
really even having to do too much. And on the other hand, there's so many people that are out there trying the exact same thing as you, and you have to sort of hope that it's yours that gets through.
Yeah, exactly.
So was social media and TikTok in particular, was that something that was easy for you to embrace, or were you a little late on that train?
I was a little late on that. I was just, man, it's for me, it feels like it kind of takes away from the creativity. It's like, I don't know. It feels like, because I've got to be careful with my mental state, of dealing with social media, because I can get easily caught in the comparison traps, and just feel like that's always weighing on me, that I need to be making a post. I need to be making a post. Where am I getting the next post from? And I just, man, I just don't like living like that. So I'm trying to find the balance of being creative with posting, because I feel like sometimes we can get so caught up in our next post that we're not, thinking about the next best song, and it kind of takes away from the art itself. So I'm trying to navigate that now. And but yeah, I was definitely late to the train. It was probably a year before I got a TikTok, and I had grown it on there. I'm just not, I just don't like the cheesy, and so I'm trying to figure out how to, uh, like I say, stay true to who I am and still adapt, because as we all know, it's in any business, if you don't adapt with the times, that's when your business goes out of business, right?
Yeah.
But you also have to stay true to yourself, because if you don't, people see right through that. And so it's just, how do you be different, and stand out? Because, like I say, you could look up 1,000 kids right now who are sitting in their driver's seat, lip syncing to the next, the latest song they wrote. Okay, so why are any of those different? Why are any of those special? And that's what you have to figure out is how you stand out in that crowd. And it's tough to figure out. I don't have the answers, but we're working on it.
You have to sort of adapt authentically, I guess. Is
Yeah,
what you got
yeah,
to do. Yeah.
exactly. And is it sustainable? I don't know. Who knows?
And then the next trend will come around and you'll have to
Next gonna come around, right?
adapt to that.
Right. Yeah, man.
Yeah.
Exactly. I would. Yeah. So it's just it's a thing, and it's changing the whole industry right now. So we'll see. We'll see. Who knows what'll be the next thing in 5 years or 2 years or 6 months? But yeah, that's where we're at now.
Would you say that that's been the biggest change in the industry since you've sort of gotten started?
Absolutely. Absolutely. It's changed the whole business, the whole entire business.
So do you feel like you sort of had to rework everything you were doing to sort of fit this new dynamic, or
Yeah. Yeah. I would say so. Because I mean, it's everybody. And when I say everybody, I mean all the labels, all the gatekeepers, that kind of thing. Look at the numbers, at the TikTok numbers, and social media numbers. That's the first thing everybody looks at. Now it's, where, used to, they could just go, oh, I believe in that guy. He's got a brand. He knows who he is. He can go talk at a radio station. He knows how to perform. he's got good songs. He knows who he is. We know we can trust him when he's on the road. So we're going to bet on that horse, right? And it's not like that anymore. It's just, hey, are your numbers there? If they're not, sorry about you, and the question I ask is, are we measuring those numbers because they're important? Or are we making those numbers important because we can measure them, right? And so I just don't know that it's sustainable, but we'll see. It's definitely all changed it, and I've navigated that in the last year with opportunities that have come, and it's a lot different now. But
in a way, it's very similar to how analytics sort of took over sports.
Right. Yeah.
Where they used to basically go on gut feelings, and now there's numbers for everything.
Right. Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly. But that's the thing is you can look at numbers an infinite number of ways. You know what I mean? You can make them say whatever you want.
And twist them however you want.
Yes. Exactly. So yeah, man, it's definitely changed, and we're all navigating it, and everybody is not just artists, but labels too, publishers. Literally everybody in the business is trying to figure out how to deal with this, and what's next. It's kind of turned everything on its head. So we're kind of all in it together and figuring it out.
So how would you describe your musical style for the people that haven't heard you before?
And I would say it's a tip of a hat to 90s country and 2000s country, with modern sounds in it too. And so it sounds fresh, but also, like I said, it airs back towards the 90s, early 2000s sound that I loved and grew up on.
So how do you sort of walk that line between the two?
Man, we really do it in the songwriting and in the studio, because we'll put let's say a 7 chord or something like that I know that's like such songwriter lingo, but like some 90s country aspects in the chord progressions or the melodies, and then, kind of do those in the studio as well. We'll have a lot of fiddle heavy stuff. And there's different aspects, like different kind of pushes in the songs and different, musical jargon. But that's kind of how we do it is we'll use samples and we use modern production and things like that, but also marry them with very, traditional sounds in studio as well, and kind of blend it together. We might even have a backbeat, 808 with a fiddle or a dub, so it's just kind of having fun playing around with those things.
So what was the process sort of like of finding a sound that feels authentic to you?
It took a little time, and it's still adapting, and we're still working on that. But that's the fun part, right? Is getting in there. With my producer Derek Wells, he's so great at figuring out what I'm trying to tell him, because I don't know all the specific musical terms that I need to be telling him, but I can, describe like what I'm feeling, and he knows exactly what I mean. And the next time they go do a pass on that song, it'll sound incredible. It's exactly what I'm talking about. And so it was, some breakfast, some lunches, meeting with him, talking about kind of where we wanted to go with the direction of the sound. And then that first time we got in the studio, just playing around with it a little bit and, developing a sound, and we're still developing it. But it's definitely getting dialed in.
So how important do you feel that it is to sort of find a producer who understands what you're going for?
Super important, because you've got to have somebody that gets your vision and loves it just as much as you do, and will work with you to get it and work hard on getting it just right, just like you guys want it.
So your latest single, 5 O'Clock in the Country, could you tell us the story behind that one and how it came together?
Yeah, so I wrote that one with Hunter Phelps and Driver Williams, and Hunter and I, we had already threw around that title. He had the title 5 O'Clock in the Country, and we didn't write it the first day he threw it out. We were writing one of the other songs I put out. I think it was 10-4. And anyways, but I had written that title down in my notes. And funny enough, I get a bunch of song ideas and melodies in the showers in the morning. I don't know why. It's just like when I'm mindless, I guess, and it just
I
comes
think
to.
there actually is science behind that, that the shower is one of the most creative places.
Yeah, it probably is. I believe it for sure. But I remember one morning, I was thinking about that title before we were writing that day, and I just hummed out the melody of the chorus, and I was like, I got to record this. So I remember like drying my hands off, grabbing my phone out of the shower, and singing the chorus melody into my phone. Went in that day, and I was like, well, this is what I got. And I remember Hunter going, uh, man, that's awesome. You already got a whole first verse. And I was like, no, that's the chorus. And he was like, okay. He's like, okay, let's have fun with this. It's different. And so drivers started picking around that little lick, that the sig lick of the song on guitar. And it just was history from there. We had a blast writing it. We knew it was something special when we finished it. Those are some awesome guys though. And I was excited to get to write it with them.
Do you feel like the best songs that you write, are they ones that sort of flow right out of you, or are they more of a tortured process for you?
I would say the ones that happen easier. There are times you dig and dig and dig and get something great. For example, these aren't my songs. I wish they were, but I know, The House That Built Me, Miranda Lambert. Those guys. I mean, I've got like a demo version of that sounds nothing like the finished song, and I've heard they had gotten together like 10 times to finish that song and just kept changing it and changing it and changing it. And so sometimes you do end up with a masterpiece after a long time, but for me, it's usually about 3 hours. If we don't have it by the end, it's kind of just not happening that day.
It needs to feel natural.
Yeah.
So, what's next for you?
Man, we're going to play a bunch of shows, and we're trying to figure out what to put out next. As far as songs go, definitely going to get something out before the end of the year, I would say. And, we're just kind of working through that now, deciding what the next thing is. I've teased a few things on social media, and, I've got a lot of songs I love and just trying to work through them. And I've got a writing retreat coming up this month where I'm going to get some of my favorite writers and go out to a farm for a week and write all day, every day. And so I'm kind of, tempted to wait on that and see what songs we get there too. So, just we're going to be working for sure the rest of the fall.
Well, I just want to do a little rapid fire before I let you go, if that's cool with you.
Yeah.
Sounds good. So, what would you say is your dream venue to play?
The first thing that popped in my head was Red Rocks. I would say Red Rocks Amphitheater.
Good one. Dream duet partner.
Oh man, I would love to do a duet with Alan Jackson. That's like if I could have Alan Jackson feature on a song, that would just be, the top of the mountain for me.
Would you take a number one song if it meant you had to root for Alabama for 3 years?
A number one song if I had to root for Alabama, that's a tough one. But I mean, if could I root for them when they weren't playing Georgia?
No, even when they play Georgia, especially when they.
I'd probably take the number one song. Honestly, I just wouldn't cheer loud. I'd cheer for Georgia under my breath, but I'd definitely take the number one song.
If you had to have one song on repeat in your head for the rest of your life, what would it be?
Oh, that's tough. I don't want any song in my head the rest of my life.
That's sick of them all, so we gotta choose wisely.
Yeah, I don't know. Gosh, probably Jesus Loves Me. That'd be a good reminder, I guess, if it's played over and over again.
Would you rather have fingers as toes or toes as fingers?
Probably fingers as toes, because I got a little short, fat toes, so I couldn't pick up much.
Well, I think that's all I got for you today. So thank you so much for making the time for this.
There's some good ones. I love it. Well, thanks for having me on, man. And
of course,
I appreciate it. You have a good rest of the week, brother.
You too. Thank you so much.
Yeah, man. Bye.
Hey, y'all. Thank you guys so much again for tuning in. If you liked what you heard from Jordan, be sure to go check out his music wherever you listen to music, and go give him a follow on social media. If you liked what you heard from the podcast, be sure to hit that subscribe button wherever you're listening, and go check us out on social media at Worlds of Country on all platforms. Talk to you guys next week.